All right, another installment of the 2004 Saturn VUE project. This should be applicable to the up to 2007 Saturn VUEs. I am replacing the quarter panel. On mine, the previous owner scuffed it up pretty good. So I'm just going to do a swap like I did the door skins. This video will also require, for basically the easy removal, I've decided to pull the bumper. You also have to pull the tail lights to do this. Tools you'll need are going to be a T30 Torx bit. You're going to need a T15 Torx bit as well. You're going to need a Phillips, at least in my case, because I have the mud flaps on mine, splash guards. You've got your puller tool for your push pins, and also a 10mm for inside the quarter panel. There are some 10mm bolts down inside that we'll get to. And that should be it. I will mention any more tools as I go along if I've forgotten them. But as I said, we'll be pulling the bumper, pulling the tail lights, and then we can move to the quarter. Overview is our T30s here in the fender well inside the door. And we're going to be pulling these pins to remove the splash guard and the wheel well. And again, in my case, I've got the mud flaps on the car, so I'll need Phillips for this. Your tail light has your T15. Sorry, as I'm adding light to it. I've got my headlamp on. Our bumpers have the push pins. And I'll go over all this as I'm doing it, but that's another Phillips. That's part of the mud flaps. Underneath the bumper, we have additional push pins. I will keep up with the count of how many there are and exactly where they are as we're going through this. I decided to go ahead and pull the wheels off just for the ease of getting to all those pins without fighting with everything. Also, 7mm, because this side has the gas hatch, sorry. The door for the gas, there we go. That's where door came in. And we'll have our 7mm there. So we'll have to pull that as well. All right, I am going to go ahead and start first thing by pulling these T30s and the T15s. There's two, one on each tail light. I'm going to go ahead and remove those and pull the tail lights, and I will be back with you just to show you the process of pulling the tail light. That's going to be our first step. All right. Sorry for the blower noise. I was hoping the neighbor would be done blowing leaves. I've gone ahead and removed the T15s. There's our screws out of our tail lights. Put them in our little bin. Other side. And then I'll work on pulling the tail light. All right, to pull the tail light, it's just a matter of grasping and pulling gently backwards. This one was exceptionally loose. Make sure there's nothing broken. Ah, looks like previous owner must have just had it apart so that the seals weren't real tight. You see here, where our bulbs are. I'm actually going to be replacing the bulbs on it, so I'm just going to go ahead and pop these loose anyway, so I can get our tail light out of the way. A little twist. These pop right out, like so. Now, down here, I can't see through the camera. Hang on. Alright, the way this works, just kind of wiggle it. It's this little clip comes loose, and then you can let your harness dangle. Just don't touch your bulbs. You don't want to get your oily fingers on them. There's your tail light loose. Set him somewhere safe. Let's see if our other one plays just as nice, or if it was a fluke. Oh no. Like I say, you just kind of grab your hands, a little wiggle, and it comes right loose. Everything is the same on the back of it. So just repeat the process we did before. I'm sorry my light is interfering there with what y'all see. Alright. Twist. Twist. Down here bottom. Do a twist. And then again, this little guy, you're just going to grab him. There's our little clip. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Actually, hang on. If you have one that's stubborn, have your assistant grab a hold of the tail light so you can use a screwdriver and just pry up on this little lip right there. Okay, back over here, I have loosened these T30s up. Instead of making y'all watch, we're just going to do the dramatic unveiling. Now, they have little plastic washers, some of them do. I had one that popped off on the other side. It appears this side doesn't have them. But just set them aside so you can keep up with them. And next I'll move on to pulling those out of the gas door. Alright guys, apparently something came through that shut the video off. I don't know why, but such is life. But to remove the gas filler door, it's a 7mm. Gonna want to go ahead and loosen these up and get them out. Basically, I forgot this because I did this at the junkyard. All you need to do is loosen these and it will pull out. Now, I have a new gas cap installed. You guys are going to have this tether still attached. Should be attached here, I believe. I did not attach the new tether because I had planned on doing this quarter upgrade. But all you need to do is loosen these just enough. It'll wiggle and this whole gas door just boop, comes right out. Alright, next step. Those 10mm nuts, you want to remove them because there are studs in the body. So I'll be right back with you. In case I have issues editing this, putting the video back together, I haven't done a whole lot on it before it decided to cut. This is a 2004 Saturn VUE. If this is a repeat for everybody in case I put this back together, sorry. These are T30s. There are 3 inside the rear passenger door that you will remove to get the quarters free. So that is what I did prior to the video cutting. Alright, so as I said, I'm going to take these nuts off, our studs, set them in our catch bin. Now, next step that we're going to move to is start pulling the bumper. Since we have the tail lights out and everything clear, we got our pin 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have basically in the same place underneath 1, 2, other side of my trailer hitch, 3, and 4. And our hidden ones that I almost forgot up top, right here beneath the tail light mounting area. They're right there. So I'm going to start maneuvering those out of their holes, and I'll check back in with you. Oh, well, I guess I'll demonstrate first. This is a tool I found best for doing this. Works like a champ at the junkyards, where they have these little indentions. The tool's designed, it's got its little claws. It goes in, and you just squeeze, and see how it pops the head so easy? And then you can just pull it to the full extent and pull that out, and then just pry this out with a screwdriver. Sometimes they'll pull out completely, depends upon how often they've been out in the past. That's my favorite way of doing it. You can get a flathead screwdriver and work it loose and pop that head. A lot of times they get mangled. If you can get the head up just enough and then insert needle nose pliers underneath, you can kind of wiggle and pull. So those are some options for you guys. I'm going to work on pulling all these pins, and I'll check back in with you. Alright, y'all, let me demonstrate. When using that tool, can't get in because of the weather strip. So you can take just a slotted screwdriver and rotate so that these are in a more favorable position for removal. Alright, little tip for you there. Now, as I said, I've popped this pin up. I also have another tool. Good old Harbor Freight. You can get them anywhere though. You can slide this under. That little V will go around the legs. Squeeze, and it pops it loose just like that. So those tools make life a lot easier as you're doing this. If you don't have the tool, you can use some of these little panel tools that won't scratch. Get it underneath. It's better if you pull the head when you're doing it that way. And so you can pop it loose like that as well. If you had a non-mud flap equipped vehicle, you would have more of these pins here and here. I had to pull them to install the flap, so you would be wanting to pull both of those pins. I'm going to go ahead and pull these screws on both sides, and I will check back in with you. Okay, so if you had the mud flaps, you got screw, and also bonus screw underneath. All right, now all this should be loose from the bumper, and I've done the other side. Everything is loose. Okay, now the fun part is going to be getting the bumper loose from the body, because it has these little clips that interlock with the quarter panel. When we did this at the junkyard, it took two of us, and it was a bit of a guessing game as to how to do it. So we're going to fiddle and figure out what is the best way to help y'all do this. Oh, let's see where's going to be the best place so y'all can see. When we undo the interlock, I'll set y'all up right here. And I will, there we go, check back in with you in a minute when we get organized. Okay, you guys, this is why I didn't do this on film. I wanted to investigate. There are actually these little guys inside the quarter. There are two more screws, or they're actually going to be studs, I guess, that are down in here, or bolts. We'll find out when we get in there. I don't remember. They are also attached to the bumper. So, that being said, I'm going to have to go ahead and pull the rest of the pins to free up the splash guard. So this, wow, okay, sorry, y'all are in the dark there. Okay, here we go. This one's already been removed. It was missing. I'll have to replace him. We're going to want to pull this guy, this guy, this guy, and see if that gives us enough room to wiggle the flap out of the way. If not, I will continue removing pins till I can access our fasteners inside the quarter. And I will check back with y'all. All right, y'all, we've got it pulled to the halfway mark. If you're simply pulling the bumper, you can probably take this, pull it out of the way, look inside. Whew, bolt number 1, and way back in there, if I can get my headlamp, you see bolt number 2. Both of those you're going to want to unfasten to get that bumper loose. Because I'm removing the full quarters anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and make life easier so I don't snap this splash shield. I'm going to go ahead and pull the rest of these pins. So we've got coming towards the front of the vehicle. We've got 2 more here. We've got a 3rd one, a 4th one, and then a 5th one holding in this splash guard. And then our splash guard will be completely loose. So again, if you don't want the drama, go ahead and remove the entire splash guard to make it easier to get your arm in there. But if you want to shortcut it, do it at your own risk. Alright, when you've got all your pins out, it's going to catch down here at the bottom. You want to kind of pull it in like a horseshoe, and then up top here, it's kind of up in the fender. So, and then it'll just drop free like so. To make life easier while you're working, there's a little harness there. And just lift that little lip. Push. And of course it always does it easier off camera, but there you go. Then you move the bulk of that harness out of your way. And you'll just be left with that. Now for this step, what you're going to want is a really long extension. And I opted to go 1/4 inch just because trying to get down in there, the 3/8 was a little bulky, so this is a little narrower and it kind of fits in that slot better. And what we're doing is we're lining it up on that to get that rearmost nut. And I'm actually going to put a universal on there because we're still coming in at kind of a cant. So if you've got a universal, that'd be the best thing to use on the end of that. Or some, my long extension like that isn't, oh darn this light, isn't a wobble design, but that seems to be the easiest way to get to that because reaching your hand in there is no bueno. Now with this front one, I just chose to use this little guy here so I can get the biggest swing coming all the way in. If I turn him on, see, I can get a further swing when I'm, there we go, loosening. I can go further. So I just opted for him, but these are 10 millimeters. I'm going to go ahead and get those loose and check back in with you. Move your harness out of the way. I'm using a shorter extension, but this one has a wobble built into it. They have them at Harbor Freight. And if you notice, maybe if the light will cooperate, there you go. I'm getting a much better purchase on that bolt. So, or nut, bolt, yeah, bolt, sorry. So that's the 2 methods I'm going to use to remove those. That works the best. Okay, y'all. So to remove the bumper, also need to remove these nuts. This bracket is attached to the body. There are 2 more nuts underneath, which you'll see I'm lighting up. So we're going to remove those. Those are 10 millimeter. And then I'll have my helper help me do this. But it looks like, you see how you pull this little tab here? You kind of pull and push. And let me zoom in so y'all can see this better. This is what because I'm kind of doing this on the fly. We had a mess trying to figure it out at the junkyard because we went in blind. There. You see how this, there you go, tab lifts out. There's one tab and there's one up top that is a tab like that. I think what I'm going to do is once I get these bolts loose, I'm going to pull those tabs while my buddy is behind the car and is supporting and pulling the bumper, because you see these little slots, there's my hand, the little slots here, here, and here. They kind of weave into the fender, but what's the quarter panel. What's holding them is those little tabs that I showed you just a second ago on him and on him. So if I get my hands in there and I free those up as my buddy is controlling the bumper, he should be able to pull the bumper back towards the rear of the car and free that, hold the bumper. I'll run to the other side and I'll do the exact same procedure there, and we should be able to pull that bumper off. So that being said, pulling a bumper safely without breaking anything might be a two-man job. But again, I'm learning this with y'all as I go through. I'm going to go ahead and remove these on each side and check back in with you guys. Again, they're 10mm nuts, so remove those and be back. Okay, again, as this car's never been messed with, everything was nice and tight. Believe it or not, that bracket doesn't necessarily have to be taken off. This does. See, I'm zoomed in. My apologies, folks. There we go. This guy does come loose from the bracket, but when the bracket is in there tight, it was pinching and holding everything. So you don't necessarily have to, but it's going to make it easier to pull that bracket and get it out of the way. That way you have all this extra wobble freedom to get in there to those tabs. At least in my case, that's what I want to do, so that this piece isn't pushing up here tight, interlocking with the quarter. I think it's just easier to not break anything to pull all this loose. So once that bracket's out of the way, you've got a lot more motion with that bumper, and we should be able to snake everything loose. All right, hang on, I'm going to pop the one loose on the other side. All right, I wish I could get y'all in two spots simultaneously, but essentially what I'm going to do, I'm going to try and figure out how to get the camera in there. Hang on. All right, I think I got y'all lined up in a good spot. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to push these tabs in, or push them so that that little, like I showed y'all before, and try and push that and work it. See how I'm taking my thumb, work it out gentle. It's actually pushing out ever so slightly. I'm gonna hold the bumper, can't see there, with my thumb to kind of hold it out at the bottom. I'm gonna repeat up top and kind of push. Oh, goodness gracious. Hopefully I don't put my head in y'all's face. There we go. There. Okay. Push, pull. There you go. Okay, he's got it free up front. He's going to hold it, and I'm going to go over to the other side and do the same thing. So y'all just repeat on the other side. All right. That worked. I repeated it on the other side. Bumper's free. We're going to pull that loose out of the way. Set it safely. And we are, woo! Wind caught it, sorry. Okay, now, everything is free in the quarters. And we are going to pull these bad boys. Let me get the light out of there, because I know if it's blinding me, it's blinding y'all. There we go. All right, I'm gonna set y'all up here so you can see the whole thing. All right. Remember, we've got our studs here, so be careful. Everything is free here, and we are up under. There's a little insert tab up under the body here. Okay, this is actually under this ground effect piece, so what you're going to want to do is start from the rear, or rocker piece, sorry. Start from the rear, go ahead and gently pull your studs. Wiggle and wobble, he'll come loose there, and then it gently slides back towards the rear of the car. Yeah. Yeah, because I was, don't, here, wait. Sorry, y'all. Okay, y'all. So everything is free. That wraps removing a quarter. All that being said, I guess essentially, if you finagled it really well, you could maybe do this without pulling the bumper. I wouldn't recommend it because of the need to pull that quarter backwards to the rear. I think you're asking for trouble trying to get around the bumper and everything. If y'all want to do that, that's your prerogative. I wouldn't. I'd just pull the whole car apart to do this. I hate that you have to take the bumper apart to this level, or the car apart to this level to get the bumper loose freely, but so be it. But I didn't break anything, so that's going to be the recommended way to do it. I will check back in with you on the reinstallation. All right, y'all take care.